I expect to verse TSM and 3-0 them.
Nice.
Okay.
All right, calm here.
Yeah. Is it just 3-0s the whole way through from now on?
This is 3-0 the whole way through.
The new C9 run through the lower bracket. Let's go.
Fudge said on the desk that he thinks it's going to be another 3-0 for C9. What's your thoughts?
I don't know. I think Fudge is, he's smoking some good stuff.
Welcome to the LCS, where there is no better precursor to the day than Fudge saying 3-0s the rest of the way, and Spica with probably the best possible response. Fudge is smoking that good stuff, and that's what he thinks is going to happen here today.
And also, I don't know if you just saw, but Spica is looking for a wife on Twitter, right? So
Also that, get those applications in. Anybody who is willing. Like to see all smiles on the stage there right now from the Cloud9 camp as they gear up for this best of 5. But it's important to note that earlier today, we saw a clash of the former LEC Kings with Fnatic coming away victorious in an epic 5-game series. G2, unfortunately, failing to make Worlds. Now, the old gods of the LCS go to battle themselves, fighting for North America's final spot at Worlds. And, I mean, Emily, I think that's where we have to start, the idea that one of these two teams isn't going to make it. When you look at that stat there, we have sent 30 teams to Worlds over the history of the LCS. 15 of those teams are Cloud9 and TSM.
That is nutty. And it's kind of insane that one of these teams won't be making it, especially when you look at their offseason roster moves and roster building. Like, these are two teams that absolutely Worlds or bust, right?
And it's even better that one of them has to knock out the other. Right? There's so many different ways it's going to happen. But for there to be blood and conflict between these two directly on Elimination Sunday, I love it.
And they have plenty of history of these head-to-head matchups here, Crumbs. We can see that, yes, in the game score across the entirety of the LCS, Cloud9 has a slight edge, 4 games over TSM. But when you move to those series, when you move to that postseason, you look at those titles, 7 apiece for TSM, while Cloud9 just trailing by a bit.
TSM does not care about the game wins. They care about the championships where they really have the advantage. And so we can go all the way back to the beginning where Cloud9 was so dominant, and we think, surely they must have the advantage, but we got to remember how good Bjergsen was on this roster, how powerful they were when they teamed up with Doublelift and just dominated the league. But now there is no Bjergsen. Bjergsen is now a coach. This could be the time where TSM actually falters and we start to see just how important Bjergsen was for this roster. And if that wasn't enough, if TSM's dominance in domestic tournaments wasn't that important, well, Cloud9's dominance internationally is what they hold over TSM, because they have been the team that has gone farther than anybody else from NA at Worlds.
Yeah, and there's so many storylines going on here, right? There's the $5 million imports. There's Bjergsen as a coach. There's Perks making it to Worlds from this region, not just EU consistently, right? There's what just happened to his old team in EU. There's just like so much drama that has to come to a head today.
Right, I mean, there's so much on the line for the fact that both of these teams have committed so many resources to making it to that World Championship.
Oh, yeah.
It starts
Let's
here
go.
today in this best of 5. Straight into champions select TSM on the blue side, Cloud9 on the red. Our first few bans out onto the board. It's Thresh and LeBlanc for the TSM side. It's Ziggs over there for Cloud9.
They're already scared of Perks as LeBlanc. Banning it away, first rotation, showing that you don't want to deal with something that's going to be gank heavy, going to be influencing the rest of the map. So already this, to me, is the respect bans. When you go into the first game, it's really what you aren't sure they're going to play, but what you've seen them succeed before and what you really don't want to deal with. And it's the 2 picks that Perks has been the best at influencing the map.
Yeah, and when I think about the TSM side, remember, TSM picked blue for this series, and they really make good use of the power picks. I would love to see them prioritize a Lee Sin. Spica has been so good on this champion through the entirety of the postseason. He's been a huge force for TSM's early game, allowing them to stabilize and making sure that they have pressure, particularly in the top side of the map.
I am wondering if it's going to be a Lee Sin first pick coming through, just because, you know, all of the games they've won have actually been in the championship have been with Spica on Lee Sin, and so that's where we're going. I also think the TF ban from TSM is pretty interesting. Just wanted to call it out when we had Jat on the desk. He's saying that that's kind of been TSM's kryptonite and giving Perks that map control. We saw Niski have absolutely fantastic TF performances just coming out of the Fnatic series, so
It's a heavy price to pay for the Lee Sin.
It's a heavy
first.
price.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
I
in
mean,
a way, a comfort pick to Sven in the Varus, but perhaps more importantly, the Xin Zhao.
Even Spica was saying how good Varus is in the late game, if I'm not mistaken, in an interview, how powerful this pick is, not just in the early laning, but guaranteeing that you have an easy way to win teamfights. A single piercing arrow on the right target means no one's able to engage at full HP anymore. So this is a really strong commitment from TSM to make sure that Spica shines.
I'm actually kind of curious to see if they will pivot to Trundle to counter the Xin Zhao, because that is still available and we could stick the Lee Sin topside. It's not necessarily something I see TSM specifically doing, but I just wanted to call it out in case Trundle is taken off the
I don't
table
want to see
later.
Hoon easily again.
You know,
I think we can put
you
that a
didn't
few
like that
patches
pivot,
away.
and then the J4 jungle, you didn't like that?
Not that. I wouldn't like it with the Trundle either.
And as we go into this C9 pick and ban rotation, I would love to see Leona get taken off the table against TSM. Sorta has been so good on this champion, although he's played Rel more over the course of the postseason, I think on Leona, he's most comfortable. It's his champ that allows him to go mid and consistently threaten and pressure the enemy mid laner. And it's not even so much about TSM getting an advantage. It's about destabilizing the enemy team's early game so that TSM can do what they do best, which is get to the mid and the late game, which is where they're strongest. So I think getting Leona off the table, and they took it off. Perfect, I'm happy.
I'm already seeing an interesting thing in the disparity between range between these teams, because the Varus is going to outrange everybody, but the Orianna does beat the Ryze when it comes to range.
Absolutely.
And so the Lee Sin has that flexibility to kind of bridge the gap in between, but I think that Cloud9 already has a range advantage just from the Varus and the fact that you can realm more people inside it, so they can both close the gap and play from afar, and that to me is an advantage already in the draft.
I also really just like the Rise for C9 generally because we've seen Perkz perform really well on that. And again, like I talked about why you'd probably want to take the TF away from him just because it's a pick that gives him a ton of agency. You can go to side lanes. Rise does the exact same thing. We've already seen Perkz play this champion really, really well with C9.
Yeah.
Heavy focus on banning out the supports here by both squads. We've got 4 support bans out on the board at the moment with Thresh, Braum, Leona, and Rel. We'll follow it up with a Nautilus of all things, and no supports yet picked.
We're calling.
Okay, hear me out. Bard angle for Sword Art?
For Sword Art.
Yeah, it's the
That
second,
makes sense.
It's the
It
second
could be
most
a
played in the
Yeah.
championship, and
That makes sense.
he's been pushed down pretty deep in the pool.
And we've got the Rakan pickup.
Yeah, so a Bard angle could be interesting. Just looking at C9's comp right now, what they have is a potentially really strong top side in the making. I think Fudge has been the best player on C9 over the course of summer. So I like the fact that on red side, they're saving the counter pick for last, and there's a lot of picks that are available to him. Whoa!
Whoa!
Pantheon.
Let's go!
Hold up.
It has to be
Support.
support. Absolutely,
Pantheon.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But what a pick.
Huh.
All right.
Spicier in game 1 of the day between TSM and Cloud9. Just one pick remains for both of these squads.
Yeah.
And I mean, not what I was expecting. We've talked a lot about how in North America specifically, supports have been roaming a lot more. I do think part of that is because it hasn't been punished as much by opponents, and they've just kind of tried to match these insane roams, especially like topside has kind of been a 2v2 at times. And you know what? Like, Pantheon kind of allows you to do that. I'm not super sold on it, but you know what? It's game 1. Let's go.
Yeah, it is game 1. Let's go. I think that the big thing that allows Sword Art to do is to roam, basically, right? It's like a built-in roaming in his kit. Once you hit 6, you can sort of leave your lane at will and be a huge threat.
It's
Do
feast
I
or
like the
famine.
town catch? Sorry.
It's
Yeah.
feast or famine. For
Yeah,
the
it's
champion.
pretty feast or famine, so I think this puts a lot of onus on TSM to get things done early, but you know, with the addition of the Renekton and the Lee Sin, I actually do think that they have a lot of options for early game aggression. It's just not a look I see from TSM very often, and it's not a look I personally love. That said, you know what I also don't really like?
What?
I don't like Fudge on Tahm Kench. I think this has been the best player. I think it's been the carry for your team, but they do need a front line at this point, so it's fine.
All right, real quick, we just have about 30 seconds to go before we load onto the Rift, and I didn't get your predictions before Champion Select, but I want predictions for the series. Emily, I'll start with you, and we'll go this way.
C9 3-1.
C9 3-1.
C9 3-2.
3-2 here, and what are we going over here?
Like Fudge, I've been smoking that good stuff.
C9 3-0.
No way!
All righty.
Wow,
Well, the
okay.
entire desk is in the C9 camp, but it's up to the teams themselves. 3 wins separate either of them from a trip to Worlds. Cloud9, TSM, heading out onto the Rift. Let's get to it.
Welcome to the LCS Championship. Today we qualify the third and final LCS team into Worlds. If your friends aren't watching TSM vs Cloud9, get them to tune in. This is the match you want to see.
This is the most iconic matchup in the LCS. So much on the line here. The final World spot. And both these teams came into the year making bigger investments than they ever have before. Cloud9 picking up Perks, massive contract. TSM grabbing Sword Art with a massive contract of their own. And they didn't do it to fall out in 4th place here. Both these teams have aspirations of the championship, of winning NA, of going on and qualifying for Worlds as well. And only one of them is going to be able to do it. And TSM coming out with a pretty risky draft, I think, here right off the bat.
Alrighty, well, speaking of the draft, Azael Latiger standing by with Mithy for a thought about this one.
Thank you, Freak. As the casters just said, there's a lot of pressure on the line. TSM versus C9. Tell me about team morale and how they're handling that pressure.
Well, I think this is what they live for, right? So it's just an exciting game to be a part of. So yeah, nothing really out of the ordinary, yeah.
You know, just another day in the studio here. It's a very interesting matchup right at the stop. Should be a lot of roaming that we see. Is there anyone in particular that you have your eye on TSM?
Well, we'll see what Sword Art does with the Pantheon pick. Definitely an exciting pick to watch, so we'll see.
Exciting times here in the LCS. Back to the casters.
And I think the Pantheon is where everyone's eyes are going to be drawn, right? It really is a very feast or famine pick. With Kalista, your ability to actually find all-in plays, to find 2v2 kills, is incredibly high. And this is why Vulcan has gone for the Exhaust, has gone for the Guardian. He's obviously trying to keep them safe. They do not have Cleanse, though, so Sven is vulnerable. If TSM can kind of set up that early kill, get an advantage, that can unlock you on the map to really roam around, to make a lot happen. Because otherwise, you know, Pantheon playing the game even, it's very difficult to be effective in teamfights as a low-income Pantheon.
I love Twitter memes, man. It's enjoyable reading it. I'm a fan of the trash talk threads on Reddit. Shout out everyone who makes and participates in those. All the Twitter banter. It is my favorite time to be an esports fan because we're down to the end of the wire. It's the really popular teams who are playing at their highest level possible. And it's going to be fun. I do want to point one thing out, though, for the TSM fans, just in case you don't know. TSM, the last time they lost to Cloud9 was week 1 of spring. They got a 4-win streak against Cloud9 right now, all right? TSM fans, feel confident.
Yeah, I mean, playoffs is a whole different beast, though. You never know what's going to happen. Team Liquid, they were coming into playoffs 2-10 in summer against top teams. Look where they are now, Freak. They're in the finals.
They were 0-9 against the teams they beat in playoffs so far. I'm just saying.
I agree. There's reasons for both these teams to be confident. I mean, TSM was the #1 seed coming into playoffs. It was an upset for them to win, or rather to be beaten by TL.
Oh, Smite diff!
Oh, that sucks for Blabber. The early Smite, trying to actually knock that down. I think. Honestly, I don't know that he would have been able to secure it either way because bot lane was roaming, so I think that's actually why he did the early smite. You could see that bot lane is pushed in, so he was trying to steal one scuttle even though he has losing lanes because he knew Pantheon and Kalista were going to be moving up, so the early smite came through. He's trying to rush it down as fast as possible. If you do not early smite, you're going to be dumping damage into the shield. So I actually think in this case it's totally defensible, even though it initially looks a little bit silly. He wouldn't have been able to get it either way. So he takes a little bit of a risk, uses the charge there to try to steal one away in what should be a double scuttle game for TSM. But TSM plays it appropriately, means he will not get that scuttle. Will lose a small price of that smite charge, but with 3 lanes getting pushed in, what can you do?
Absolutely. So, Fudge going to be under his turret a little bit. Going to take some CS as best he can. Of course, for our Spanish-speaking friends, check out FlyQuest's Spanish co-stream on twitch.tv/FlyQuest. But, of course, we're going to keep the commentary going on to this one. Still a very close game. Speaking of memes, we've all heard, my Rise is bad, my Zero is worse. But it is his most played champion here at the Rise for Perks. 60% win rate. Not a bad look for him. Just below his normal pro win rate.
60%, when that's below your normal, it turns out you're pretty good at the game.
Yeah.
And Perks just going towards another pick that can move, that can push and roam, right? There was already multiple bans towards that, the LeBlanc, the TF, 2 champions that want to push, that want to roam, that want to be able to set up for their jungler. And here is Perks on another one of those iconic champions. I do feel he is at his best when he can make his own plays, when he can call his own shots, move around the map, really be active here. And Vulcan hovering mid, there's been so much priority on these roams towards mid, on covering your mid laner, on playing for vision through the river. And it's actually Cloud9 that have the better vision here already. You know, there's this kind of like line of wards along here. One ward is being swept out, one ward in the river as well. They want to cover this. It's so important when you are playing these volatile mid lane matchups that can be affected by powerful roamers like the Pantheon, like the Rakan.
And wards going down. This is actually pretty smart clearing by both Spica and Sword Art as they saw Perks walk over and said, okay, probably putting vision down. Tracks it, okay, no problems there. Close game, obviously. As top lane not far apart, the junglers, despite the double scuttle, are pretty close in camp count, so that's going all right. Mid lane's close, bot lane's close, but now here comes the roam squad. Vulcan, Perks, and Blabber all want into the bottom lane. Will it be enough?
TP immediately.
Will be now the TP's coming in. It's going to be enough damage, though. Blabber dropped, and Blabber is gone. Shockwave gets only Vulcan as the other flash the way. The TSM answer is in time.
Man, Power Evil was so fast on that teleport. That was instantaneous there, and Perks getting chased down. He's going to have to flash the Q or he's dead.
Oh, gonna get dissonance. Does it land? Spica, does he land it? Yes, he does! Thumbs up, TSM.
Oh, they have the wraparound.
Oh, yeah.
It's not over. 4-man dive. They're looking to set up here. Sven has no flash.
TP, flash stun. Sword Art gonna drop the aggro. 3 dead, make it number 4. Vulcan, yes, the death pinch is in.
TSM playing this to perfection. Cloud9 looking for the early move towards bot side, and TSM more than equal to the challenge there. Immediate TP from Power of Evil. They win the skirmish on the first play here, and Spica walking around the corner. No chance for Blabber to have seen him. The immediate empowered stun from Sword Art into the shield, absorbing the damage. He was the target for Cloud9. Because he gets that shield up, he cannot be burst down. Then it's just a straight up chase down. Yes, there is the route from Perks to create some distance, but the ward hop in slows him down. He has to flash before the Q is used, so Spica can connect on that. Then look at the top side, right up here, Renekton has shoved in the wave, TP's on the minion, Sword Art holding turret aggro, the exact amount of shots he can take, wrap around on Vulcan, they take him down as well. This is flawless stuff from TSM. Beautiful plays in game number 1. They needed the Pantheon to get ahead, and lo and behold, here he is.
Trying again in mid, the frontline Pantheon, puts up the shield, not gonna have a big problem here. Blabber still going in with the ulti on, knock up, and a trade kill does come in. Cloud9 will not say die just yet. Looks like Dragon's gonna be their prize.
They will move down towards that Dragon. Another well-timed E there from Sword Art. They're absorbing so much damage on this Pantheon. Perks in trouble, no flash.
Wave, Lee Sin gonna land. Spica is level 6, doesn't need to kick. Power of Evil claims the kill, and suddenly Dragon is no longer quite viable as Spica's in the chase. Finally misses his first Sonic Wave in approximately 8 minutes, and it will allow Cloud9 to walk away.
Man, Spica has been so active in these early levels, moving around, not wasting much time here on the camps. Right place, right time. Gets the kill mid on Perks, who had no flash from the earlier chase down. Straight into Dragon there. TSM 5-1, 2K. FTX advantage here at 8.5. That is huge for TSM to come out with this aggressive draft, this confident draft here. But Blabber looking for the counterplay. Insta-cleanse.
Good cleanse, good flash as well. Lost getting away from a solid set of CC out of Cloud9, but that's what Summoner Spells are for. They're defensive after all. We'll see if Cloud9 can punish that. Vulcan still has flash, is not yet 6, so they can try to get lost afterwards. We watch that mid-fight again.
Yeah, here it is again. Really nice timing on the E. As he was about to get CC, drops that down, so it takes very little damage, but Blabber chasing through, Perks able to connect. And then it's just a bit of an overstay here from Perks. Wraps around, gets vision, thinks that he is safe as a result. But Spica actually saw that going down, then just ward hop over the wall, the shockwave into the Q. Easy chase down here for TSM. They get the kill, and that means they get the Dragon as well.
Oh, big fight in the bottom side. Thank you, Callista ultimate, and down goes Sven, and Vulcan might just be next. Stays live at 250 under his turret.
Let me draw your eyes to how sad this inventory is as well. He had to Tabby's rush here, which I know you are not a fan of. There's a lot of physical damage on the team. Lethality being purchased up, so he did go towards that. 0 and 2, down multiple waves here to the Callista, who has 3 early kills. and there is so much dive on this TSM side, it is not going to be a fun game to play Varus.
And I will say, as much as I do not love Steel Caps, this is a game for it. It is this one. He has to walk to sidestep almost all the skill shots, and it's 4 AD. And it doesn't matter. He's still 0-2 and down 12 CS. TSM have been slaughtering. They're looking to extend that winning streak to 5 against Cloud9, as they might just kick them out of the LCS Championship if it keeps going this way in this series.
We'll see. A lot of league left to play here, but the gold advantage truly in the favor here of TSM. We'll see what Cloud9 can get done. They do have some playmaking of their own. Explosive engage available from Vulcan, who is now 6. And Ryze in a side lane is always such a threat, but because there is Pantheon support, it's actually much harder to play out that side lane as aggressively. It's not Nocturne level. It is a support. You know, the engage range and the engage delay is kind of longer. So it's something he can try to play around, but you can't really shove aggressively without someone behind you, and that is going to change how he wants to play in these side lanes later on.
At least in the top lane, CS is equal. Oh yeah, Blabber is going to get flanked. He has a Varus nearby. He was summoners in an ultimate, and hey, now Blabber's on a control win, so he feels safe. He doesn't feel safe! Spica's in there! Shockwave misses, and just barely the man lives. For Sonic, it's Sven tanks the Sonic Wave, so he's not going to dive the turret. Blabber's able to walk away. Spica just unperturbed.
Oh, Spica kick flash, aggressive plays. There it is, the trade of flash. I thought they were going to drop the Herald and then try to dive it because they had the Herald available, but instead they're ulting up towards mid here. Perkz trying to get out of there. Well-timed Realm Orb, 3 members collapsing.
Yep.
He finds the angle to avoid CC, knowing Power of Evil's Shockwave is down. He has to avoid the Pantheon and the Renekton. He does so, he gets out alive. Well played.
Really, really well played, but when well played is, well, I'm not dead yet. It's only, 1 and 2.
You take what you can get,
You
freak.
take what you can get. You try to not lose what you can. They're going to hope the mid-game looks a bit better because the early game is all TSM. Lost just dodges the jump in. No problems there. Sword Art, we'll try to get the cannon. Thank you for the 78 gold apiece. Only our fair bit into the game. And we take a couple of recalls. We got, Ryze. No, not actually going back to his base just yet. Full Gorge Drinker is done for Renekton. Huni, off of some pretty good farm, is on his first power spike, but similar there with Anathema's Chains and a Bramble Vest. Fudge is very ready to frontline.
Yeah, and I mean, I like the early investment in armor because there are 4 pure AD threats, but it also means that Power of Evil is going to be smiling. Seeing all of this investment towards armor, double tabbies spent from these bot laners early on, the Bramble Vest obviously on the top side. It's not that they're the incorrect buys, but a control mage can punish this. A control mage like Orianna has high consistent DPS. That is the comfort zone for Orianna here, and for Power of Evil in particular. As Huni looking for the roam play, Perkz was trying to match, but Huni had the read and will just dash out of there. And quietly has been having a good game himself. His only real involvement from either top laner was the TP down to facilitate the dive. Didn't get an assist off of it, but he did critically force the teleport in the 1v1 out of Fudge, which meant Fudge could not respond to that dive. And that is one of those things that can sometimes go underappreciated, but just creating that TP advantage is such a big difference, because if Tahm Kench TP's in there, has his Devour to save someone, has the Abyssal dive to knock some people up, can look very different.
It can, but well done to Huni, right? He has been an incredibly lane-dominant player, some of the best laning stats in the LCS, and though Fudge has had a good year ever since maybe February, it just, has been under some threat, but forcing the flash out of Huni as a chomp would have meant a dive, but they may still try away. Blabber's on the way in, knocks him into the wall, wants to chase one down. And are they going to find more? Yes, they will. Rakan sets it up, and Fudge knocks it down. Cloud9 doubling their kills.
Getting a kill on the top side is nice, but there will be a pretty big cost. You look already on the map here. Bot lane tower is going down. Blabber is up on that top side, so Spica knows he's going to be able to take away the Gromp, grab the Dragon. There is a cost to that play. It's something that Cloud9 has to be willing to go for, as the Shockwave will pull him in, but it should just be for chip damage, because they are losing right now. So they got to look for odd number plays, and that was what they could find. But the gold lead is extending and extending here. Nearly 4,000 gold in the favor of TSM now, that have a comp which can really snowball very, very effectively.
Looking good. 4K and 2 Dragons. They are well on their way to a 25-minute Cloud Soul. That's going to feel great. And overall, just the better team. in this one, obviously an early game snowball can make it feel like your opponents don't have any plays left and everything you do works. So yeah, the game might feel like it's the whole way through. Perk's gonna lose another recall as people willing to take a turret shot to harass him. But still a lot of lane pressure in the mid lane. As a shield bow is done, we're off to an early Rage Blade for Lost. There are a lot of ways you can build Callista. This is the optimal single target option, where you're just trying to make sure you can finish off the Tahm Kench or the Xin Zhao in front. Totally makes sense here in this context, but you can go Hurricane. You can even go things like Phantom Dancer to delay it a bit.
Yeah, Wit's End getting so popular as well. You know, Wit's End plus Shield Bow just feels like flavor of the month. You know, what ADC can you build this on is kind of what people are playing in solo queue these days. So will be interesting to see if he indexes towards that. There's a decent bit of magic damage here, obviously, between the Rise, as well as Tahm Kench and the Rakan. And when you have such an overwhelming amount of damage, I feel like oftentimes you don't need to maximize DPS. Sometimes survivability can end up being more important because you just need to not get one shot. And turns out a team with 5 threats can kill some people.
Yeah, valid. But we're on to the next aggressive play by TSM. Lost looking a little bit towards the top lane, but knows that Rise plus Rakan can be scary, despite having Summoners up. Doesn't want to go for turret shots, doesn't want to get Rune Prisoned into a Rakan combo, and just kind of chills out. Lee Sin coming top set as well. Spotted by a ward. Cloud9 knows that they're sending even more resources. Then we indeed see Perk's recall away from top lane. TSM aware of this and say, great. Lost gets some alone time at the top lane turret. That is going to fall. Turret score going to be 2-0. And even across the map, Huni is safely holding his lane against Tahm Kench.
And it's pretty clear which team is dictating the pace of the game. Just look at this line of vision here from TSM across the map. Even in the bottom river, they have a line of wards here. There's really nothing going on for Cloud9 as far as the vision is concerned. On the other side of the map, they just have this defensive line of vision trying to maintain some control of their camps, trying to scale up, look for their own opportunities, but finding those plays becomes more and more difficult when there are wards everywhere in your jungle, tracking your movements, tracking your positioning on the map.
Well, tough as it might be, it is still Cloud9's job to find a way back into this one. Varus with the poke is actually going, by the way, not for a poke lethality build, but for more of a team fight option. Shield bow is in. We could clearly see. I would love what's them with only 1 AP in the enemy team, but you can still go for, some kind of Rage Blade or Phantom Dancer option and kind of go from there. Mid lane turret will definitely fall to second Herald. PoE easily within local turret gold range. In fact, even Lee Sin got a share, so Speak gets also 175. As mid lane tier 2 may take this crash. I don't believe Cloud9 can play aggressively enough to pop the eye. And indeed, they'll get that turret down pretty low.
It is really interesting, I wonder if Sven came into the game with the intention of going shield bow, or if it's just a reaction to, oh my god, this game is going bad, I keep dying, I need to try to find some way to survive, so kind of just going for the most defensive mythic here with the shield bow plus the tabbies early on, trying to give himself a chance to not just get burst down, because generally when you do go kind of the more on-hit builds, you see things like lethal tempo. And so to me, generally when I see Hail Blades, I'm expecting lethality, but could just be a pivoting game. And I think it makes sense, given the circumstances and how far down they are.
Yeah, my instinct is a pivot. My instinct is like, yeah, okay, wow, this was a really tough start. Okay, wow, all right, we're going to steel caps and I'm going to need more, so we're going shield bow. And I think it is smart. I'm very happy to see players pivot builds. Varus is one who has several viable builds. Whether you believe it before the game or during, I want to give credit where it's due. That is very smart to do. Saves the stun until the Tahm Kench dive, and that means now Fudge is on a 20-second cooldown and is not going to have an easy way out of this one. Just chasing the man down. He's going to take the last stun, and honestly, the shield, it's not going to matter. Yeah, here's the problem. Renekton and Power W pops it, and you get nothing done. Looking now at the next round as Spica is behind enemy lines. First charm comes in and it's just time to run away, but Huni wants in for the stun. Can he get one though? He's just locked down. The CC chain is too good, and Cloud9 find their third kill.
Oh, really well done on that CC chain because he had Gourd Drinker and he probably had Q available, so he could have had a massive heal come through and really change what that fight does look like. But the CC layering was there. They get a kill. Unfortunately for them, Lost was pushing this whole time on bot side. They take a tier 2 bot. They take 2 jungle camps away. TSM are just on fire in this game, absolutely dominating Cloud9 with a tier 1 mid down. You can see how defensively they're having to play. They don't have enough vision on the bottom side for Sven to really even be able to walk up into mid and get minions. He just kind of has to sit back and get what comes to him, and really, at this point, it's not a lot. It's going to be a 3rd straight dragon given over. They are still on pace for a very quick soul here. And TSM have so many ways to play out this game now. You can win in 5v5, you can win through objective control, you can win for, just going towards that Soul or a Baron. With this Kalista with Rageblade, that's a big threat here too. So Cloud9 have got to find some sort of a play to potentially turn this game around.
Oh, they're going to look for it. It's going to be tough to do so because their time is running out. I think an easy, well, let's take the replay first as we look at the mid lane fight.
Yep, this is the play after that bot lane kill. Nice shockwave out of brush there from Power of Evil, but the E shield plus Guardian from Vulcan absorbed a lot of that damage. Then Spica just kind of kiting it back. Vulcan doing his best to peel. Huni goes down, rooted, knocked up, charmed, not able to get the Gore Drinker and the Q there off on a number of targets, and really wanted to try to get in the mix there to get the most value out of his healing. Wasn't able to do it.
No, that is the one weak point on the comp is Renekton is not the best late game champion, but I mean, who cares realistically? Because you've snowballed the early game, you've had all the lane control, and you're just going to crush the game. You're going to hope to get that soul at 25. TSM still looking for more as Perks and Co. are clearing jungle camps inside of Brush. Sword Art going to face check, and yeah, actually not quite so much a face check, but a spear check, and like, yep, definitely there. Out you go. Hold on. More going on. Nice Scryer's Bloom going to reveal where Spica, Sword Art, and Power Evil are. But top still under fire. Lost and Huni putting pretty big damage down. Won't quite kill it. Oh, the flash in! Absolutely beautiful setup by Huni. The knockdown was there, instantaneous. And now Blabber wants in. The charm, the knockup. They're going to trade 1 and 2 back. Cloud9 again, willing to fight to the death. Baby. Flash for Sword Art. Pulled right back out. Nice job by Cena to get 2 kills, even in the 4v5.
Yeah, that was big. Blabber going in aggressively, making a play for the team. As TSM has just been pressing, they have been relentless. They were threatening the wraparound. They're trying to take the tier 2. They do flash and get that initial kill onto Perks, but because they couldn't actually finish off the tower itself, that was such a boon to Cloud9 in that fight, and getting those 2 kills back at least stems the bleeding somewhat. It is still 5K FTX advantage for TSM. That is massive. But Cloud9 get a little bit of something, and it was all about the initial threat here. TSM are trying to threaten the wraparound, and Perks is getting some confidence as they do clear it out, but then flash in, stun up, lock down, burst down. Blabber hit by the shockwave, so he's low. Spica thinks, hey, maybe we can move forward for this. But as he goes forward for the poke, Blabber just hard engages alongside Vulcan. They CC them up under the tower, not allowing them to finish that off. Then Fudge arrives, and Sword Art is forced to flash, then get pulled in by the Kalista ulti. He gets the safety, but Cloud9 have got to try to fight this next dragon, and will they be prepared? It's 2 minutes.
That Blabber fight, I want to point out, by the way, he jumped in, he then flash ulted to make sure he knocked someone else into turret range. He went in because the minions were gone and said, hey, Vulcan can follow me up. I want to make sure the turret is helping. That's how he win the 4v5, and he was right. That 2-3-0, of course, brings the gold lead closer. But yes, FTX gold advantage, still 5,000. Dragon Soul in 2 minutes. You can peg that at about 3 to 4K to add on in terms of stats. And that's kind of the direction we're headed right now. TSM going to put a control ward in the Baron pit. I love this ward right outside the alcove. It lets you see them come in, but almost every control ward will fail to see that. So Cloud9 knows they don't have to worry just yet.
But it's always so hard when you're playing a game and you're this far behind and your opponents have a legitimate Baron threat, right? Because Kalista plus Lee Sin, those two alone can threaten just a duo Baron, honestly. With that Rageblade, Wit's End has come through as well. 3-item Kalista, just the 1 item and a couple pieces for his Ven is pretty disgusting. So they have got to be worried about this constantly. Anytime they're off the map, you have got to try to go forward and check that. And that gives TSM so many opportunities to find fights with their gold advantage to really get the maximum from this, which is so important with this style of composition that depends on flanks, that depends on skirmishes. It's less about the true hard engage.
Sword Art wants to get rid of some wards, and he wasn't spotted quite as he came up. Gets knocked it down for 30 gold as well, and not going to be an easy target. Able to walk away, make sure, they really own this pit as the wards come down over the walls. They've just kind of lined this up and lit it up with wards. Dragon's up at 40 seconds.
And I love the Umbral Glaive here from TSM, having that on Sword Art. It's something that we don't see a lot because the champions that built it are not really in the game very much recently. So the additional vision control, especially from ahead, you can see he's walking around with 2 control wards. They have multiple sweepers. They have control wards being picked up by everyone. And that Umbral Glaive just kind of acts as an additional sweeper, really. Allows you to just control vision so aggressively. And is making Vulcan just reset on the map constantly, even just to refill wards and try to keep some sort of of line of safety for their team from which they can check in on that Baron.
All right, well, here's the Dragon, and
Just
as
giving
you
up.
mentioned, yep, Kalista and Lee Sin are the two on the objective. It's the Smite, it's the Ren, they've got single target damage. Those are the ones TSM sends to make sure the objectives fall, and indeed it happens. Dragon's Soul claimed under 25 minutes. Imagine that gold lead has almost doubled, because that move speed is going to matter a lot. All the ulti CDR, that matters. The extra stats from the Mountain and the Infernal. Yeah, it's a lot that's not just in the gold lead.
I think Renekton, it's one of the champions that benefits the most from it. You want to play from a flank, you pop the ulti, get a massive burst of speed into the back line there. Makes it so difficult to actually stay away from as one of these low mobility carries like the Varus, like the Ryze. So Huni on 2 early items, grabs the stopwatch, and is going to have a lot of benefit here from this Cloud Soul. TSM have not taken their foot off the gas pedal, and Cloud9 just clearly said, we can't fight. We would like to prevent this, but we are not in a position to do so. So I think the only thing that they're going to contest is Baron, and that's where TSM are going to want to pressure as a result. It's going to continually be this battle for vision, this battle for control in the jungle, and we'll see if Cloud9 is willing to take a fight around it.
See what happens. Top lane tier 2 under fire is very, very low. A single auto will kill. Who's going to walk up? It's going to be Orianna. Power Revo claims 1. Turret score is 5-1 right now. Cloud9 have team fought pretty well in this game. Maybe they think as it goes later on, they can actually find that as their victory. But now the only objective up right now is Baron. Every single turret except mid tier 2, and that one's low. It's at like 20%. Has already been felled outside of Cloud9's base. Knockup found, but Spica able to jump onto a cannon minion and stay alive.
Yeah, just not enough threat without a true carry behind you. Tahm Kench is never going to burst you down, never going to 100-0 you. And honestly, even Sven is going to need some time to knock down the Lee Sin, who is very strong at this point in the game.
Yeah.
Multiple items are through for everyone. I mean, Sorta has a friggin' Duskblade. Like, this is actually ridiculous. He's got 2 items there with his Mythic completed. He is a true threat. Like, this cannot be ignored. He doesn't have boots because he's actually just rushing all the long swords.
Let's be clear, Sorta has as many items as Sven.
Yeah. And I think he would probably win the 1v1.
Yeah, he does.
That's scary, man.
He's got a lot of money, man. He's killed so many wars. He's got 57 CS. Like he's a rich man from all that going on. Both sports have a great vision score from the wards knocked down over 100 apiece. Well done there. And we keep the Baron set up in our minds. 6,000. The gold difference right now. 800 of that was the top tier 2 code a little while ago. The other hundreds are just fluctuations as minion waves are dying and picking back up. So still, we look at the chance at a Baron setup. But TSM, they have plateaued the gold difference somewhat. I don't hate it, but it's what's been happening so far. Knockups, big CC chain. Stopwatch buys time. When do they re-engage? Big damage is not going to find a kill, but Ryze wants in. They're going to look for a shockwave on a 2. Spica heals up with a Gore Trigger, but knocked up and still dies. So
Huni on the flank.
The gold deficit. It's Cloud9 finding at least 1 kill, but Huni gets it back. He is squishy though. Gore Trigger, Q, Sterix Gauge, and a stopwatch. Next round comes across, and it's a full-on retreat for Cloud9, but the reinforcements have arrived. 1-0 again. TSM win yet another fight. 2-1, and Huni wants a little bit more. Will not find his first target for some, but he will find a second. Wants to lock down Fudge, not quite able to do so. Jumps away, but TSM again, they win the fight.
Yeah, they win that fight, and with Lost alive, they can go pressure the Baron here. There's no flash on Blabber. You know that for certain. So the turn is possible. And can they even contest this here? Kalista, as long as you are good with the Rend, this should be yours. He has no way into the pit. There's no blast plant there. He's going to have to try to W over the wall, E in, and pray he can get something. But I think it's just dead before he even shows up.
Should not be a chance. 700. They take a good amount of time. And yes, Baron is claimed. TSM walking over Cloud9 so far in game 1.
They've got everything they need to close out this game now. Cloud9 going for the big play here in the mid lane. I like the attempt because they see multiple members. They see the top lane on the wave, they see bot lane on the wave, and so they look for the play, knowing they're gonna have the extra man here. Speaking of, Flash Ward hops out, the commitment comes in, but the shockwave on the turnaround was beautiful. As you arrive in the Realm War, PoE has it timed out well. They throw Sword Art back in, but the Aegis Assault has done so much work in this game, blocking out that damage. Then Huni arrives on the teleport with the flank. Cloud Soul, movement speed here, meaning a lot in the chase down. And again, Sword Art surviving with so little health. He has been so annoying in this game, always timing his Aegis Assault so well.
Yeah. Wow, 2,900 damage from the support. You know what? I said he was doing better than Ven. He's doing better than Lost. He's doing better than Spica. Sword Art is not overrated after all. Just give him damage, champs.
I mean, he's doing more damage than anyone on Cloud9 in this team fight.
True.
It's honestly pretty insane, the work he has been putting in on this game. Got the stopwatch, and now he's got the brown paper bags on his feet. He's going to be moving faster, even more threat here. TSM, enormous gold lead, picking up all the towers here. Spica escorting in that minion wave mid. They can threaten the dive here. They can just try to continue extending the gold lead. For now, they're just defending the cannon minion and allowing it to do the work for them on that bot lane tower.
All right, down to a few more turret shots, but Tom Kench poke, Varus poke, that will nearly kill it, and it finally drops. Some time is bought. Here comes the dive in the back line. Big ult for Blabber, looking to kill the back line. Stopwatch used for Power of Evil. Naga comes across for Vulcan. It's going to be a kill yet, though, as the health bars are dropping. Guardian Angels pop. Shockwave buys a bit of time, and there's the 2-0 start, making a third for TSM. Sven is next. And it's 4-0, and here comes the Dragon Slayers. From above comes Sword Art, and that is the ace, and that is the death for Cloud9 in game one. A Bud Light ace for TSM, 15-6 in kills, and they never let up. From the early game snowball to the Dragon Soul to the Baron, TSM controlled Cloud9.
What an incredible game one from TSM. Talk about a statement there. Sword Art excited, he's hyped up, flying in with the ultimate at the end there, finding those final kills. He was incredible on the Pantheon, and they played so well around it. The early game coordination, the early game plays from TSM, to me, really decided that game. And that sequence of plays through the bot lane was so good, so well coordinated. From Spica just hiding out of line of sight as soon as they knew that the play was coming in. He does not show until the Realm Warp has already arrived. You cannot bail out. The TP from Power of Evil was instantaneous. As soon as the Realm Warp was channeling, he was already TPing. Then Huni even TPing in on the redive on the minion after they have the wraparound. That whole series of plays was so beautiful. And the fact that they never slowed down, that's one of the criticisms that a lot of people have of TSM, is that even when they create an early advantage, they tend to sit on that and then just rely on good late game team fighting, rely on the PoE factor. In this game, it was constant aggression. It was pushing in, taking vision, stealing camps, extending the gold lead. That was a beautiful game.
It was a beautiful game, an early game advantage that was not thrown away. TSM in control the whole way. Nicely done. Now, the LCS is partnering once again with State Farm for our cosplay contest with a $5,000 prize and a round-trip ticket to Worlds with a friend up for grabs. Now, we have received a ton of amazing submissions and have narrowed it down to our 5 finalists. And our fans at home get to vote for their favorite cosplay. Voting is now open and will stay open until Friday, August 27th. We'll be announcing this year's winner during next weekend's pre-show, so be sure to tune into the LCS Finals. I can't wait to see which cosplay finalists are going to be joining us at Worlds. And after the break, the State Farm analysts will be breaking down Game 1 as we get one step closer to determining North America's final Worlds representative. See you there.
Can't believe Marxie's Lux didn't make it in.
Unlucky.
Not gonna lie, Jake from State Farm. That Daniel deal got me some sweet savings on my insurance.
Daniel, State Farm offers surprisingly great rates to everyone.
Sure you do. Tell you what, I'm not supposed to do this, but I'll let you try the chunk, honey.
Oh, I'm good. Here's the deal. Great rates, kinda our thing.
You wanna meet the queen?
I'm not dressed for that. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You know what's funny?
What?
Money.
Money. Power. Money. Power. Money. You want it. I got it. You want it. The money, the power. The fame and the glory. Been putting in hours. I just want what's ours. The money, respect. Put that on our name. It's getting too easy. We milking the game. Everything everything I always wanted, I got it. Took a minute, but I did it regardless. Working for days. Can't keep living off no minimum wage. I've been down before, but I want the ball. Sometimes I come up short, I wish I was tall. But when the pockets fat, they get right back small. I used to wish that I could shop at the mall. I ain't stopping till I reach the top and that's all. I can't stop until my family evolve. Don't make me have to get my family involved. You don't know how much your happiness solves. You never know what you can be if you quit. That's the reason that we even exist. People hating, it don't stop me at all. Who are they to tell me I ain't the shit? We ain't never gonna die. We're living on. We're running out of time. We're in control. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Invincible. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Invincible. We ain't never gonna die. The money, the power, the fame and the glory. We're putting in hours. I just want what's ours. The money, respect. Put that on our name. It's getting too easy. We milking the game. It's getting too easy. We milking the game. We ain't never gonna die. We're living on. We're running out of time. We're in control. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Invincible. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Invincible. We ain't never gonna die. The money, the power, the fame and the glory. We're putting in hours. I just want what's ours. The money, respect. Put that on our name. It's getting too easy. We milking the game. We ain't never gonna die.
I don't glow in the dark. I make people decide if they see me or not. If they see me or not.
Welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk and another installment of State Farm Neighborhood Tactics, where we're taking a look at an incredibly proactive play that TSM executed thanks to the read on Cloud9's draft. Now, since Cloud9 decided to play Tahm Kench and bring in Rice, they know they're aiming to play to the bot side of the map. And that's not just because Fudge can play weak side well, but because you also have a Rice that has a level 6 Realm Morph. So take a look at how this actually starts, because it's a setup that gives TSM the indication that this is happening. When Perkz TPs into the mid lane, in his inventory, he's gonna have a control ward. So he has priority over PoE right now because he just TP'd. He has stronger items. So he's gonna go into the river. Now TSM doesn't know where he is, but here is where Perkz gives himself away. Uses the Scryer's Bloom. Now they know that he's inside TSM's base. Drops the control ward, but then when he returns to the mid lane, now TSM can know by checking his inventory, hey, he doesn't have a control ward anymore. There's gonna be a control ward in this side of the map. They might be setting up for a play at level 6 with the Realm Warp. Now Spica, as he's pathing to the bot side, sees that there is a ward here, but now they know that there could probably still be more vision. So Sordar, who just recalled, finds the next ward. So now they know that Cloud9 has just placed 2 wards down here, and at the same time, there's a big wave that Kalista needs to crash. This is a perfect opportunity to gank Kalista if she were to overextend to ensure that this crashes. This is where C9 is thinking, she wants to hard push this, let's go for it, while TSM read it, had everybody into the bot side, and immediately counter ganked. PoE, by saving his TP in the mid lane, is instantly able to respond, and here mechanically, they play this really well to continue to chase Perkz. Specifically, PoE flashing right now. He needs to flash this to force Perkz to burn his flash, because the most important skill shot to land is Spica's second Q. By him having that flash unavailable, it ensures that Spica can land it. And then it's a 4-on-2 into the dive, but they make sure that there's no way of getting out of this by TPing Huni. Unfortunately, he doesn't get even an assist credit for that one, which kind of sucks for him. But at the end of the day, they killed everyone except Tahm Kench on Cloud9's side and snowballed the game really well from that. It was really well done by TSM. But for more on Game 1, let's check in with the other analysts and see what they thought about this game.
Thank you very much for that analytical look, Crumbs. Hey, he did get that fatty kill XP. He TP'd in and got a little bit of XP from that final kill that came through. But what a cool look, and I really appreciate the insight that came through around how vital small pieces of information can be to a massive play. Things like the Scryer's Bloom letting them know exactly where to look for those wards, clearing out both to make sure that C9 doesn't have perfect information themselves to work with when they go for such a bot lane play.
Yeah, and I think this is one of TSM's best strengths on display. When they have the opportunity to get the information before the play, they're so good at reacting to opponents, and we saw C9 get punished for that right here. And look, when there's a Pantheon in the game, the cardinal sin and the cardinal rule is do not let that Pantheon get kills early. But by C9 overcommitting resources here where they don't have complete control of information, they basically gave the early game away in a silver platter for TSM.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this basically allows TSM to dictate this entire early game. And we talked about like why I was personally shaky on the Pantheon pick was because it requires you to be ahead, right? Like it's a very high risk, high reward play. We see Sword Art go in here and actually end up dying because he's not really tanky enough to, take that damage, and they don't do enough damage. They are actually able to get the return play here. But I credit TSM massively for locking in a composition like this in game one, because it tells me that they are actually have put in a lot of work focusing on this early game. And specifically, we pull up Spica. He's been insane on the Lee Sin. You need to take this champion away from this man because it allows him to facilitate so much around the map and additionally in team fights.
I was gonna say, while we may have, a bit of a newer pick, I say in air quotes, because obviously it's a Sword Art pick, Pantheon coming out in the playoffs, things like that Lee Sin for Spica are so consistent and so reliable for TSM that it's cool to see those kinds of things paired up together. But even throughout the entirety of this game, Kaizen, it's notable to me that we saw a couple good looks from Cloud9. And to me, that only illustrates more the importance of the early game lead that TSM built up, because if they didn't have it, there maybe were a couple places where the game could have slipped away, and the gold advantage they got so early on really is what pushed them over the edge.
Yeah, we should keep in mind, there were some good looks and good team fights from Cloud9, right? Even the actual last fight in the game was actually a good initiation by Cloud9, but at that point, the game was so out of hand that there was just no way for them to get a fair team fight. And we saw opportunities like this where they catch out Spica, they do a good job of collapsing, recognizing, hey, this is at worst a 5v3, so we need to go in on him right now. They burn his stopwatch and they manage to get a pick, and then they continue trying to go onto Sword Art. But here's the thing, Huni had an amazing flank onto the entire backline of C9, and at this point, I think he did like 5k damage in this fight. He did more damage than almost any two members of C9 combined. And what we see here is that at this point of the game, particularly when you have such a big gold advantage, it just takes one member stepping up to really turn the tide.
The value from that TP covers for the lack of value from that first TP. That is how valuable that TP was there at the end of the game, completely bringing it back in TSM's favor. We'll roll through a couple more instances of the teams doing battle in the bot lane, but with the Baron buff adorned on TSM's side, no surprise that they're able to cleanly walk through this final team fight and push to end the game, bringing us to a 1-0 scoreline.
So Dash, having seen this last play with Huni and the huge pop-off performance he just had, I think about top lane in this series, right? And I look at two all-pro level top laners in Fudge and Huni, and my question is, why is Fudge being put on Tahm Kench? Right? Why is he being put on Tahm Kench when GP is slipping to the last pick, Jace is slipping to the last pick, Gnar is slipping to the last pick? I think this has been the most consistent player for Cloud9 over the course of summer. I want to see him on champs that can do what Huni just did.
It's a great question, right? And unfortunately, one I don't have the answer to when it comes to why it was they decided to put him there this time around. I, like you, want to believe that with game one behind them, they will look to rework their strategy a little bit and maybe look to put Fudge on something with a little bit more agency over the game. But Emily, I want to get you in on this conversation as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, Cloud9 are choosing.
There you go.
So,
okay, so there's at least one change coming through.
That is going to swap things up. I do wonder if we'll just see Elisa and Ban, or if they'll first pick it, if TSM decides to take it off the table. And then additionally, I think that this puts, we've seen TSM on red side, right? And we've talked about them on red side and how in my opinion, they didn't necessarily, when we saw them previously, I think it was more specifically in the TL series, didn't necessarily make the most of some of the counter picks that they could have been able to get on that side. So I'm curious to see how they adapt in this draft and whether we see them going for more hard counter picks, because we did see them testing that out, right? And even though it didn't work, I mean, we didn't think we'd see an more early game focused composition from them, but we just saw it. So I'm really curious to see what they lock in.
Final thoughts?
Yeah, and actually TSM, every red side game so far in playoffs, they've lost.
Oh,
so
boy.
let's see if they can break that trend.
All right, all right. Well, hey, if they swap sides the whole way through, we do get 5 games, and that is my dream here. Game 2 between TSM and Cloud9 continues after the break, but while we wait, enjoy the latest release from Iron Maiden, their first song after 6 years, The Writing on the Wall.